What's good, YouTube? Welcome back for episode 3 of Automaton. So in the last episode, we got our drills up here and ready to go, and started drilling some stuff out just to get some materials up for whatever we need to do in this episode. And I think in this episode, I'm going to go ahead and work on getting some hydrogen up, because we are running low on hydrogen and I don't feel like running back to the ship every time I need hydrogen. So we're going to go ahead and get an automated ice system up with storage as well, along with a refinery and also a med station, so we can heal up, we can get our energy back quickly, and we can fill up on hydrogen pretty easily. So that's basically what we're going to work on this episode. I think the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go ahead and do our hydrogen tank. I'm going to run this off to the side here, and I'm going to run, let's see, our H2O2 generator, that's the wrong one, here off of this port like this. That way we can run this into some drill system to automatically drill out the ice here. I think I'm going to go with the big circular setup to start with. So kind of like I did in some of my tests before, it seems to be the best way to go about doing it. We are going to need a large cargo as well, so we might as well work on that this episode. So let me toss that right here. I did add, in between videos, I added in a little seat there just so I could pick up some energy, but not too big of a deal. So we're just going to pop this on right here, and then we're going to run our drill setup off of here. I think we'll get started on that in this episode as well, because most of this is just going to be sitting here waiting on materials as usual, and basically drilling out in order to get materials. I believe I'm going to need some cobalt more than likely, but we'll get to that when we get the chance. So I'm going to go ahead and start on all of this stuff, and hopefully we can get all of this ready to go. Okay, so I've grabbed up some silver here, but we're going to need it for production on the, what is that, the medical supplies for our med bay. So we're going to have to do the assembler before we do the med bay, but that won't be a problem. We're already planning on doing, or the refinery, sorry, before we do the med bay, which won't be a problem because we've already got all that queued up. So I'm just basically sitting here making all my materials now. I think I've pretty much got enough. If I don't, I'll run the drills. I needed a little bit of cobalt. It looks like I might need to make another run for cobalt, but that won't be an issue either. So I found some pretty close by, so I don't have to run too far for it. So in between, while I'm working on this, I'm going to run grab the cobalt that we need, and we should be pretty good. I'll start running the drills when I need to as well. It looks like, let's see, our refinery may be done here. Yeah, it's done with everything, so I'm going to have to run it a little bit, see if we got any stone. We should have stone somewhere, or we've used it all. Okay, that'll work. I'm just going to keep running the drills, run them into there as much as I need to in order to finish all this stuff up and get all of these welded up, and I'll get right back with you. All right, so I got all of that done. Now it's time to think about what we're going to do here for our drill system for the ice. Now, I do want to add some hydrogen generators here just so we can power it up a little bit better, because as of now we're going to run into issues with power. I can tell already. We've only got one battery here, and it's probably discharging faster than it's charging. Let's find out real quick. Yeah, fully depleted in 2 hours, so we're not creating enough energy just off of that right there. It's time to start thinking about some hydrogen generation. Since we actually have the hydrogen tank here, but the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to assure ourselves that we have enough ice. So I'm going to build a little system here. Let me grab some parts for this just so we can get them started. Okay, so we're going to build a conveyor here. We're just going to run these off here, and we're going to have to go up a little bit. So I'm just going to use a junction here just so we can tap into it later if we need to, and then move it up a little bit. think that'll be high enough, and we're going to use another junction here for the same reasons. Instead of doing the curves, I like to do the junctions when possible, just for future proofing. Actually, I don't know if that's going to be far enough out. We want to make sure we're plenty far out. That way we've got extra room if necessary. And that should be good. We're just going to use about a 3-wide drill system, set up kind of like I did in the testing video, but we're only going to go 3 wide here. So we don't need it to be massive or anything like that. We're not going to be using this base for too much more than just getting set up. So let's see. We're going to have to run some pistons. I'm going to go ahead and leave the medical room there because I haven't placed it yet. We're going to need the button panel. We're going to need drills. And we are going to need a rotor. And that should pretty much be everything. Now we're going to need an advanced rotor for this so we can pass stuff through it. So we're going to go ahead and drop that there. And our rotor is going to go right here, actually. So I'm going to need some steel plates for that. And on the end of the rotor, we're going to add a piston. Or 2. Actually, I think we can get away with 2. Well, I don't know. Let's look to see if we can get away with 2 and drop a drill on the edge there. I don't know if we're high enough for that. No, we're not going to be quite high enough for 2 drills at the moment. Or for 2 pistons at the moment. We can always disassemble and reassemble later once we get everything right. And we're just going to place our drill right here. And we're going to add on the side of this. We figured out that we can go 1 space in between with these big drills if we're on a circular path. So we're going to do like that, and then we're just going to place a drill here, here, and here, and here. That's going to be plenty for the ice right now. So we're going to be able to go all the way through the ice. It's going to take us a while to use up all that ice. So I'm just going to go ahead and get all of this stuff ready to go so we can get the drill system working. And I'm also going to need a button panel. So let's go ahead and place that on here somewhere. I guess we'll just place it right there on top of that. That'll work perfectly. And I'm going to go ahead and start getting all this stuff queued up and start working on welding it up for you. Okay, so finally finished all of that up. We are good to go. So I basically just finished up these drills here, this platform to come out to the drills, and that's all I've done. I did have to move the 3 drills that I had on the bottom up to the top because I ran out of iron. But basically all I did is transplanted them from one place to the other. We're probably going to add more drills to this system before it's over with anyway. That'll be in the next couple episodes because I'm planning on doing some blueprinting and some auto printing as we drill into the side, kind of like we've done in the past, and that's going to be some automation there. Now I just need to set up a little bit of automation here. So what I want to do is, I know that we can move at I believe it's 0.8 meters per second around. So we're going to run, we don't need to keep this at full speed because there's no way that we're going to be able to use all the hydrogen as quickly as we can get it. So I'm not too worried about that. We're just going to set these buttons up here in order to control this system over here. So I'm thinking we're going to want some programming blocks. We're going to need what? Let's see. We really only need 1 programming block to cut the piston on and off to move it down. And we can just spin all of that around. So let me go ahead and add a programmable block here. which apparently we don't have unlocked. What do we need for it? Or sorry, not a programmable block, a timer block, which we need to do some lights. We need those anyway, so let's go ahead and toss those on our bar here and make a couple, because we're going to need to be able to see at night. And that's the best way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and get into production, and we're just going to search for lights here. Well, we can't do that, so let's just go ahead and add that to the build planner. Let's go ahead and I'm going to add 4. That way we can see down in our hole that we're working on. I'm just going to put them on the ends here just like that. So let's go ahead and add those, and we will hit shift middle mouse button in order to queue them up and start grabbing the stuff out using the middle mouse button. And we're just going to place 4 of them around here. And probably do some more in between episodes. I'm not really sure where I want to put them yet, so we'll figure that out. Okay, so we have lights on the drills, so we'll be able to see down in the hole as we go. And we're going to want to spin the rotor here, and we're going to want to extend the piston once the rotor has a full rotation. So if we do, let's see, let's get into the controls here and check the rotor. I basically want to make a quarter turn on the rotor before we move down, because the way that we've got it set up, all it'll take is a quarter turn in order to fill out the entire circle. So let's find the rotor here. And we're going to share inertial tensor on it and the pistons, obviously. Let's go ahead for the velocity. We need, if we do 1 rotation per minute, let me go ahead and cut this off, or lock rotor real quick so we don't have to worry. We're going to do 1 rotation per minute here. So that'll spin around 1 time. It will take a quarter of a minute, which would be 15 seconds to do our quarter turn. So every 15 seconds we want to turn the piston on to drop down, I'd say about 1 to 2 meters. So we're going to go 1.5 meters. So let's go ahead and set our piston up here. That would be piston ice here, and we're going to share inertial tensor on this one. And then we're going to do velocity. Now, we're going to cut this one off for now, because we don't want it actually working at the moment. We need to set our velocity. So if we're going to go 1.5 meters, and we don't want to go any faster than 0.8 meters per second down, we're going to go with just a 0.5 meters per second. So that's half a meter per second, and we want to go 1.5, so we're going to actually want that to run for 3 seconds. So let's go ahead and get our timer block set up for that once we do it. And that means I need some interior plates here. I'm going to just do this. And we're going to toss the timer block right there, I think. So let's go ahead and cue that up. Okay, we have our timer block situated. Let's go into the button panel here so we can start the timer block. Now we want this button right here to turn the timer block on. And we're going to have another one to cut it off. So we're going to use that one for start. And number 2 will be stop. All right, and we're going to do a trigger now as well on number 4. So we can start it quicker. And now we just need to come in and we need to edit our timer block. As soon as it lets me loose from the... Yeah, okay, there we go. Alright, so we're going to set up the actions on the timer block. And I said I needed 3 seconds. Well, every 15 seconds we want to start this, right? Okay, so every 15 seconds we want this to trigger. Which means we're probably going to need another timer block, if I think about it, as a middle timer. And we want this to turn the piston ice. We want to toggle it on and off Actually, I think if we just toggle it on and off every 15 seconds, we should... Well, no, that's not going to work. So we're going to need another timer block to trigger from here. So that'll turn it on and off after 15 seconds. This isn't going to be perfect, I can tell now. I don't quite have this thought out well enough. I'll have to... Probably this week I'll work on figuring out some timings on it and stuff and make it better. We can go on and shut off the sounds. We don't need that. And we're gonna... I said 15 seconds. Okay, it's just showing 14 here. So that's gonna turn the piston on. And we're gonna have the rotor rotating. Let's go ahead and add this to turn the rotor on and off. Wrong button there. We're going to want to rotor lock on off. That way we can just basically turn the rotor lock on or off and just let it spin as we want. And we're going to need one more timer block here. So let me go ahead and add that to our queue. Okay, so the second timer block we're going to have to set up for 3 seconds. So let's go ahead and set that up. That would be timer block 2. We want a 3-second delay here. And we want to set up the actions to turn the piston off. And then we want to trigger timer block 1. This actually should work. So let's go ahead and try it real quick. So let me check the timer blocks real quick again, just to make absolutely certain. So our actions are that piston's ice, and then we need to trigger timer block 2. Or start trigger or timer block 2. Okay, so timer block 1 will run for 14 seconds. Turn on the pistons. 3 seconds later, timer block 2 will toggle the pistons off and start timer block 1 again. So yeah, that should work perfectly fine. And we are going to, let's see, I think the piston's already turned off, if I remember correctly. Yes, that is. And we are sharing inertial tensor, so we're good on that. Let's go ahead and turn these drills on and just give it a quick test real quick. Okay, so we're going to need to do number 3 to turn the rotors on. There we go. And we're going to trigger now for button panel 4, I believe that was. Let's look. Yeah, number 4. So we go down a little bit. It is still spinning. Let's go ahead and I got to fix this drill. Turn it on real quick. And after we get a full rotation, yes, this should work out quite nicely for gaining as much ice as we need. And it should drop any moment now. There we go. Perfect. Now this will give us a perfect circle-ish down here. And if we want to expand it later, we can just add more drills to the system. And I think we can fit maybe one more drill to the outside here. All right, there we go. Now, since we're spinning here, we're actually going to be able to clear all of this out. That's something that was a little weird. If you go straight down, it won't clear everything out, but if you're spinning, it will. I think it's got to do with the fact that you're not going straight, if that makes any sense. I'm not really sure. We'll figure that out later. But we are good to go there. So now let's see if we can just quickly turn this off here. I believe number 1 was for that. Let me look. Okay, number 2 was for that. Now, I need to figure out... Okay, timer block 1 was the 15-second wait. So that should work right there. We'll hit stop on that. And it should stay right there. Yeah, good. Now we've got to time that. We can't do it while it's on the downstroke, but that's fine. And then we can cut off the rotor here. And that is good. Now, I'd love to have another button on there to shut the drills off, but that's not a big deal. Now that we've got that done, all we need to do is add some hydrogen engines. We should be able to fill this up now. So let's check this out and see how we're doing on our hydrogen tank. We're going to go ahead and fill up the tank before we start worrying about the engines, and then we'll do all of that in the next episode. I think I'm going to leave this one here. I'm about an hour, almost 2 hours into recording this video because there was a lot of downtime in between me talking. But we've gotten what I mainly wanted to get done today done, and we're going to get more power coming up for the next episode. So that's what we'll work on in the next episodes. More power and probably expanding our drill system over here. And then we're going to start thinking about getting into some creative mode and designing our actual base layout that we want to. We're going to end up moving all this stuff around anyway. But now that we've got automated drilling on both ice and dirt, we should be good to move forward and start maybe some automatic building, which will be pretty nice. Thanks for watching the video all the way through. If you haven't already, please drop a like to let me know that you did. Also, if you're new here, please subscribe and hit the bell notification to be alerted of new videos. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, click one of the videos on your screen now. Thank you. Have a nice day.